Well, hello and welcome to part 3 of the road trip series. Join me at the beautiful Horcott Lake here in the Cotswolds. This is a 20-acre day ticket lake that you can book through their website and then come and fish, which is what me and my mate Matt have done. If you follow my channel, you'll know that we've been doing a road trip this week. We've got 6 nights on the bank and this is going to be the 5th night, so this is the last 48 hours of the session, and we've done 114-acre reservoir in part 1, so go check that one out. And we did 2 days barbel fishing on the River Wye as well, which was part 2. And part 3 we're at Horcott Lake, and there's plenty of carp in here. It's a lovely looking lake. There's weed, there's gravel bars, there's all sorts to go at. So I need to start leading around, try and find a spot and decide where I'm going to fish for the night. So I'll get on with that and I'll speak to you guys a bit later on. Right guys, been leading around now for probably an hour and a half or something, and probably 80-90 yards range. It's really weedy out there. There's a nice silty gully, it's probably about 55-60 yards out, and it runs right across in front of the swim. So I think what I'm going to do is fish all 3 rods in a line in that gully, because there's weed behind it and weed this side of it. So it makes sense really, that must be a patrol route for the fish, and also obviously it's nice and clear so you can present your rigs nicely. My right hand rod is a little further round to the right than my other 2 rods because I found, I think, just a little bit gravelly sort of broken ground there, which you know, it's a bit different. I've got 2 rods on the silt and then one sort of on a bit harder gravelly type stuff, and I'm gonna, you know, have 2 different spots and see what works really. One rod on its own, I'm barely going to put any bait out, maybe 5 spoms of just pellet and mixed boilie. I've got the Amino Marine from Pure Bait Concepts and I've just broken a few up, got a few whole ones, and then I've got a few pellets in with it. I'm just going to put out maybe, yeah, sort of 3 to 5 spoms over the top of that spot, and that rod's on its own. The rig and the setup I'm going to be using is just see there, little PVA bag, and it's just slid down the hook link, and I've got one of the Amino Marine hard hook baits on the end there, and it's a little sort of 8-inch rig, bit of putty in the middle, and a hook ring swivel on the shank. Nothing complicated, and you've seen me use this rig a few times before, but I wanted something subtle. The water's really clear here. I imagine everyone's using bright toppers on their boilies, and I just thought, you know, if I'm putting out pellets and boilies as free bait, why have anything standing out on the hook bait? And I'm hoping that that's going to pick up a better fish because I'm not putting much bait on there. So that's going to go out in a minute, and I'll put a bit of bait over the top, like I said, only a little bit, and then my other 2 rods, I'm going to put a little bit more bait, maybe about 10 to 15 spoms, and have 2 rods on one spot there, and that's going out a little bit further where it's nice and silty, and I'm probably going to fish maybe one on a pop-up and one on a snowman on that spot and see which produces, and then I can always swap them over. So best get moving. It keeps raining guys, on and off. Apologies for the lack of filming. This whole week away has been quite wet, as you've seen if you've watched all the videos. If you haven't watched the videos, then make sure you do at some point, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well for any videos coming in the future. So I'm going to get this rod out, get a bit of bait on it, and then I'm going to work on the other 2 rods, and then hopefully before too long I'll have everything out and I can have a bit of a chat to you before it gets dark, because the time is ticking. Guys, I'm just making up my spod mix for the other two rods. So what I've got is a mixture here of sort of maize and hemp and things that I got, you know, from a local tackle shop. I ran out of the big dog particles mix that I started on Bradley's with at the beginning of the week. So I've got this from my local tackle shop, which is maize and sort of different grains in there and some hemp. And then I've got some of these naughty tiger nuts from big dog particles, which are fermenting in the bag. I can see the bubbles coming out of them, and I think they're going to be amazing to add to this mix. And I've also got some of his hook baits to put on the hair, so I might try, you know, one of them tigers tipped with a bit of fake corn or something on one rod. In fact, I might even fish out on two rods because I'm fairly confident that they're going to pick that up. But I might try a boilie on one rod. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to put in. I might put some boilies in this mix as well. I've got some of the amino ester from Pure Bait Concepts. I'm going to mix that in. And yeah, they've told us, the bailiff said not too much bait, so you know, I'm going to only put about 10 spoms out over 2 rods. But then I can keep it trickling in over the session, so this should be enough to last me for the whole session now. So happy days, let's get this mixed up and we'll get a bit of that out there, and then we can put over 2 rods out. Right guys, I've decided on this for one of the rods on the sort of particle spot. It's just a 12mm amino ester yellow pop-up on a basic sort of pop-up rig really, a hook ring swivel on the shank there. It's a size 6 angling iron anchor hook, a little bit of coated braid putty and a shot holding it down, and a bit stripped near the hook. So that's going out, you know, it's sort of yellow, it looks a bit like a bit of maize that's out there. It's just popped up just in case there's any little bits of weed and stuff. And then the other one, I'll show you in a minute, is going to be a tiger nut tipped with fake corn. Right, the last rod is going to go out now guys, and it is one of the big dog particles tiger nuts. It's Dan Kilgore on Instagram. I'll link it down below. He does these really special hook bait tiger nuts that are fermenting in the tub, and they're pretty explosive, but they're fizzing and that. So yeah, one of these is pretty attractive with a bit of fake corn on top just for a bit of buoyancy and a little bit of visual aid. There's obviously maize in the mix, so I'm just trying to match that a little bit. And I'm going to be putting that out with a little bag of pellet just to make sure it doesn't tangle in flight really. And that's going over the mixed particle spot with the pop-up out there. So I'm trying to pop up on one and a tiger nut on the other, and then that's all 3 rods done. So I'm quite happy. It's taken a long time. The weather's just been atrocious. I've had to keep dipping in and out of the bivvy in between the rain, but I think I'm finally going to get my last rod out, and then I can have a tidy up and relax for the rest of the evening. So I'll update you guys a bit later on. Hopefully the rain's going to stop, and we can have a little bit of a chat and a bit of a rundown of what's happened so far this week. Guys, we're losing the light now, so I thought I'd just update you before it gets dark. So got all 3 rods out, as you might see down here. Happy with my spots, you know, they all felt pretty clear and everything. I've got one that's a bit further out, just a nice clear silty area, and then my right hand rod is a little bit gravelly, so I've got, you know, all bases covered. But yeah, that's all I can do for now. It's finally stopped raining and it's not forecast to rain now for the rest of the trip, so fingers crossed we could dry everything out before we go home. But yeah, it's been a mad week. I hope you've been following it along on the channel. We've done 5, I think this is our 5th night on the bank now. If you haven't seen the other videos, go check them out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So yeah, I'm going to just sit now and relax for the rest of the evening and hope that something happens through the night, and I'll obviously keep you posted. And yeah, anything that happens I'll show you that, and hopefully you know, I'll get woken up with a fish in the night. So yeah, fingers crossed, eh? Well, good morning guys. It's a beautiful morning today. The sun's out, which is really nice after the week we've had, all the wet weather and everything. And I've got all my gear out to start drying off to go back home tomorrow. But yeah, it was really cold last night. There was a northerly wind. It was kind of blowing straight into my bivvy, and I only really brought like a little thermal blanket with me. I didn't even bring my sleeping bag this week because we're still in August, you know, and I was expecting it to be hot as it has been, and it's been completely opposite. You know, we've had big winds and rain every day, and it's been hard work. I'm sure you'll see if you've been following the road trip. But yeah, no fish to report last night. I was quite surprised. There was quite a lot of fish in our area when we got here yesterday, and we didn't put a lot of bait out, you know, just enough for a bite really. But the fish did seem to move off after we'd, you know, done our leading around and everything. I guess the pressure sort of moved them. But I was hoping that, you know, if we didn't put loads of bait out, they would come back in and you know, settle back to where they were and maybe find the little bits, the little traps that we put out, but it didn't happen unfortunately. So we're going to have a bit of a rethink today. It's really sunny, so it might be a day for trying zig rigs and that sort of thing. If you saw my Todd Bemana session a few weeks back, I was fishing zigs there and getting takes, but I kept losing them, and you know, I'm always reluctant to fish zigs because I find that I lose fish on them. So I think zigs will be a last resort, but you know, it is crying out for them today with the sun being out, and it is a clear lake, so I always think zigs are better on a clear lake so the fish can see your hook bait, you know. But it is quite a shallow lake. It's only sort of 5-6 foot where I found, so you know, potential for fish dropping down and having a feed is a lot more than if it was a really deep lake. You know, if it was sort of 12-15 foot, you'd think zigs would be better because the fish are that much further off the bottom. But if it's a 6 foot lake and they're kind of swimming mid water, they're only kind of 3 foot away from your bait, aren't they? So maybe I'll stick with it on the bottom. And they did look like they were feeding when we got here yesterday early afternoon, so we might just stick with it. Might redo the rods in a couple of hours, just to make sure there's, you know, nothing's tangled, make sure I've got fresh bait on and everything, and then see what happens. So that's all I can tell you for now, guys. We are sort of doing everything we can to try and get a bite, but it's not like anyone else is really catching either. So, you know, the guy next door to me had one yesterday afternoon, but I think he's been here, you know, a couple of days before, so he's had time for his spot to kind of come to life, if you like. We're just kind of waiting for the fish to turn back up again now, and hopefully we can make something happen. Guys, I'm absolutely gutted. I've just lost a fish, so I decided to kind of wind in the rods and check them, and one of them was tangled, and the other one, the lead had come off on the cast, I think, because I didn't hit the clip very well, and I had a PVA bag on, and sometimes if you don't hit the clip, the lead's not tight against the end of the clip, and it can, it can eject on the cast. So I think that's what happened. So 2 of my rods basically weren't really fishing last night, so a bit gutted about that. So anyway, I redid them. I've actually had a rethink. I've put one on the tree along my margin. I just figured, if I'm not catching on the open water spots, I might as well have 3 different spots rather than like 2 rods on one, because there's no point having 2 rods on a spot that's not producing. So I thought I'd have the 3 spread, 1 on the margin and 2 in open water. Anyway, so I redid them, and I put my right hand rod out with just a little wafter and a bag of pellets, just to be subtle. I didn't want to have anything too blatant out there. And within an hour and a half I've had a take, and as I was playing it, the line's just gone slack, and I thought I'd pulled out the fish, but literally I didn't get anything back. It just completely cut me off. And I think what's happened is between me and the spot is a mussel bed, I'm pretty sure, because the line was all frayed and twisted up and coiled, and it's made the line weak, obviously, and then when I'm playing the fish it's just cut like cotton, really. I'm really gutted. I've worked really hard for my first bite from here, and yeah, to lose one is devastating, really. So I've been fishing back leads because there's swans that keep coming right over my rod tips. So I've got a back lead dropped right down off the rod tip just to keep the line as low to the bottom as it can be, so the swans don't pick it up. But I think that's the problem. If there's mussels out there on the way to the spot, then my line's pulled down into the mussels by the back lead. So I've cast that one out again after I've retied it all, without a back lead this time, and I've put, I think, 2 more spombs of bait just on the spot, just enough for a bite. I don't think I need a big bed of bait out there, really. I've just literally freshened the spot up, back out on a wafter. That's one of the Amino Marine barrel wafters with a little bag of pellets slid down it, and then I've just bombed out some pellet and crumb of the Amino Marine as well, and that's what did the bite. So I've kind of repeated the process, but just without the back lead this time, so it's not pulled down into the mussels. And yeah, I just have to hope that the fish come back in and have another go, because I'm confident now that I can get bites with my tactics. I'm fishing tactics that I know work. It's just I've got to get over the problem with the mussels and the swans as well coming right in close, and hopefully get the balance right between avoiding the swans and avoiding the mussels, and then hopefully we can land the next one that comes along. So stay tuned, guys. Hopefully now we've got something that works, we're going to have a fish. Can't really do much more than that, so I'll keep you posted, and if anything happens I'll obviously show you. Right, here he is, the myth, the legend, my old mate Matt. Hello mate, you alright?
Nice to be old.
You're older than me.
That's true.
What's happening, mate?
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
We've seen fish around here and there, but they just don't seem to be getting down on the bottom at the moment. Apart from the one that I lost, obviously, due to the mussels, which is a bit annoying. And your line was a bit funny as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
we were all a bit frayed when they came in.
Yeah, so we're just going to have to stick with it, mate, aren't we? And keep feeding the seagulls.
Conditions look good for it, but
I know, yeah, there's a lovely wind now, and it's come overcast again. It was a bit sunny earlier on. So yeah, I think we've just got to stick to what we're doing.
there's a fish showing out there.
Ooh, is that on one of my spots?
It looks fairly close.
It does look, yeah, it does look pretty good. So we'll keep you posted, guys. There's not a lot from me and Matt to say, is there really? Just we are trying everything we can to get a fish, and we'll let you know when it happens. Well, as you've just seen, Matt's just had that lovely common there, worked out about £15.5 I think it was, and he's managed to, all his rods are wiped out I think, so I think I'll leave him to it. He looks a bit pissed off. He's not even looking at me, but yeah, well happy to see a fish. You know, it's good, there must be fish in our area, and it's really nice conditions now. We've got a nice overcast and steady little breeze, so things are hopeful, coming into a good time now, the evening and over the night and everything. So I'm just cooking my dinner, a little bit of pasta, and yeah, let's see what the night brings. Right guys, we're in the last morning now, come to the end of a really grueling week of fishing. If you've been following my road trip, you'll know that we've done 6 nights now and 3 different venues, and it's not been easy. We've had some highs and we've had some lows. I managed to lose a fish on the first night on this session, which is a bit of a gutter. Matt managed to have a 15-pounder yesterday, which is awesome. At least he's caught one. You'll have seen that on the footage. And then last night I had a tench just as it was getting dark, which was a bit annoying because I'd just got my spots all sorted and everything, and I had to cast it out in the dark after I've dealt with that. But there's still a few fish showing out there this morning. I've put a zig out there in the open water just to you know, have a last ditch attempt at catching something, but the baited spots haven't really produced for me, so if I did come again, maybe I'd just fish bags, or you know, maybe just boilie tactics rather than spodding out a bit of bait. But you just don't know when you come to a new venue, and I had to try something, didn't I? So yeah, maybe I'll come back again and give it another go. But yeah, that's it for this session really, and that's it for the road trip. So I hope you've enjoyed it guys. Check out the other 2 videos and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future. And if you've got any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you. Alright, I'll see you next time.